This is Adorable Distractions, a place where I share every random thing that I'm enjoying at the moment. In today's video, I wanted to share the library that I created to keep track of all the books that I'm reading in real life. I created this library using a game called Tower Unite, and if you're not familiar with this game, don't worry. I will be explaining a bit about how I made this library, showing you different ways that you can display your books, giving you some tips and tricks so that if you are inspired to create your own space, it doesn't have to be a library, whatever you're wanting to create after watching this video, hopefully you have some basic knowledge and good starting points to create your own magical whatever you're going to create. I am playing with a custom workshop model. This is a penguin and I added a little flower to their head so that they could match the theme of my library. I used a forest theme with lots of flowers and pretty butterflies and kind of with a romantic, dreamy theme. So our adorable penguin here is just trying to keep with the cuteness and I think they're doing a great job. But I would like to thank Pikachu, who uploaded this model to the community workshop. Okay, so let's just get right into the library. I thought it would be fun to start out from the outside so that you can see how big it is. I ended up going with a really grand looking library because I had so much fun making it and I love fantasizing that I'm gonna actually be able to read enough books to fill up this library. And the cool thing about the way I built this is I made it so that if I somehow filled this whole thing up, I could still add more rooms without disturbing the layout that I've already created. What I did was I added something called canvas cylinders and canvas cubes to the outside of my library to make it look like a castle. And if I end up wanting to add another room, let's say I wanted to add another level right here, I could just move these big solid blocks that aren't actually rooms up like this, and then I could build another level that I could walk through and it wouldn't affect anything else in my library. It would just feel like it was meant to be that way all along. So I really am happy with a castle theme. I think it really helps me feel like I'm not stuck with whatever I ended up building, that I can have creative freedom in the future if I end up wanting to have maybe a starlight theme instead of a forest theme, or have a strawberry kingdom instead of a forest one. I could like take a little baby strawberry. You can take any item in this game and scale it up to 1,000 times bigger. So let's say I wanted to take a strawberry. I just want to see it now. All right, here. Oh, they have a strawberry clock plush. That's a cool. So the Strawberry Kingdom could actually work really well for a library. So you see how tiny this is? I'm gonna back up pretty far and we can just do 1,000 times bigger. 1,000 times bigger, 1,000 times bigger. I don't know why I think this is so fun, but it's one of my favorite things to do in the game. And look how big that strawberry is now. If I wanted to, even though it's a solid, oh my gosh, I just fell. Even though it's a solid object, technically I could build a big house and then just put this strawberry on the outside. I keep wanting to say strawberry because I know library is pronounced library, not library. And now I'm trying to say strawberry like strawberry. I'm getting confused. But it's kind of a cool pun now that I think about it. A strawberry library. Oh my gosh. I might do that one day. Or I might use a different condo and make a different library that way. That's cool though, but look how big this bad boy is. You can make a ginormous kingdom out of baby strawberries. So I'm in a condo. And what a condo is a place that you can host other players. So if I wanted to, I could right this moment host this library and anyone playing the game could pop in and explore and see all my books and have a good time. We could watch YouTube videos together. Or you can just host it for only your Steam friends and maybe have a little book club with your friends. You guys can chat in mic in-game, or you guys can have like a separate Discord chat and just hang out in the condo. But also you can just have it be a personal thing. It is whatever you want it to be. The game has several different ones that you can use. This is all the condos that the game currently has at version 0.18. If you are not wanting to start from scratch like I did, like I built everything from a blank space, there's no mountains in the background, there's no trees, everything I built myself, I recommend using the condo named Condo. It has walls already, it has a really beautiful tropical background, it has a lot of space and a whole flat rooftop that you can build another level on. If you want more of that, I can show you in a separate video and kind of maybe even build a library in this condo if you want me to. Just know that I am a chaotic builder, so we're going to be having a good time making ginormous strawberries and going a bit silly with it. Okay, so let's just go right in. Yay, good times. If you hear me flying, it's my penguin. He's got a little jetpack on. He makes a little bit of noise. Right now we are in the first area of my library. This is my DNF graveyard, where I put books that I did not finish, I never want to finish, because they're dead to me. And it's just a joke. Don't take it too seriously. If you love a book I threw in my graveyard, no hard feelings. I just thought it would be funny to have a place to put books that annoyed me. So far, I only have 2 books that have made the honor of being a part of my graveyard. So how I'm doing this is I'm using something called a graveyard or gravestone sign. This gravestone sign has the ability for you to write the name of the book, the year you didn't like it, and you can also write why you didn't like it here. I didn't do that because I'm never going to forget why a book annoyed me, you know? So I kind of left that blank. But the graveyard or the gravestone does not come with a custom image block, so you're going to need a custom image cube, and you go to a book themed website. I use Goodreads. You go to that book's page and you open just the book cover in its own tab. So you want to make sure it's just a picture of the book with a black background. You copy that link and you put it in this right here, and that is how you are going to be able to display your books. I also recommend turning on glow because it just makes it look more beautiful, but also is great at night because you can still see all your book covers very easily. You can also scale your book covers to be whatever size you want them to be. I ended up going with the same size books throughout my library, but if I wanted to, I could just make this really, really big, really, really tiny. The game also has the option where you can use something called magic potions, and if I wanted to make my penguin model very tiny, I put that in my hotbar, and now I'm a very tiny, adorable penguin. And I could make my library a little dollhouse library if I wanted to, and have it be where anybody that came in would be shrunk really tiny. It's a fun idea, but I built mine with a normal sized model. So I'm going to be taking away that tiny potion. As cute as it is, I want you to be able to see my books a lot really easy that are on my shelf. So I prefer to have a small, medium sized model. So I kept my graveyard really tiny, and because it was so tiny, I actually decided to go with a pond theme so I wouldn't have to use as many gravestones, because each gravestone is 5,000 units a piece, so it adds up really quickly. They have a cheaper gravestone option, but I like being able to add custom text, so I chose this one. If you went with the other option, I think it's only like 900 units. But also, I think it's really cute to have a frog pond graveyard. It's something I would never be able to do in real life. The froggies make cute sounds when you squeeze them. It's an adorable idea. And I scaled up these flowers. Normally they're very tiny, but I wanted it to be more fantasy themed, so I made my flowers really big. This is made from a workshop model, so that's a player uploaded it to the workshop. It's created by Real Human Bean, and if the game doesn't have something that you're looking for, you can browse the workshop, and usually you can find something pretty close to what you're looking for through the workshop and throw it in your condo. Just keep in mind, if you have too many workshop items, it's going to take a lot longer for people to load into your condo if you plan on hosting, and just for yourself to load into your condo. So I try to keep my workshop items to a limit of like under 5, but I've seen people host condos with like 500 workshop items. It took me 6 years to get in their condo, but dang, did they look cool. So yeah, you do you. I'm just letting you know. You can notice here I got some flying dragonflies. That is using a particle. They have a lot of really cool effects that they just added through particles. You can make it so that there's a trigger on the floor. And if your character walks through the trigger, there's like a big explosion in your graveyard. I just didn't think it would work with my adorable pond, but if I wanted to, I can make my particle have an explosion. And let me show you. A big explosion. That's where it is. Explosion. So as I'm walking by, my graveyard just explodes out of nowhere. It's a cool idea, but I just decided to keep it simple and throw some dragonflies in my pond instead for my froggies to eat so they are not tired or are not hungry. Yay for my froggies. I built this graveyard to keep in mind that if by some reason I suddenly become a big book critic and I'm throwing all these books in my graveyard, if I ended up needing more space, I could easily grab these solid blocks. Like, these aren't real houses. I think it's pretty obvious, but these aren't real rooms. They're just solid blocks that I created to make it feel like that. I could take them and push them out and easily expand my graveyard. I could also turn this entire space into a graveyard. So I've made it with the thought of if I need to make it bigger, it's easy in mind. Here's an example of a custom image. I got this off of OnSplash. It's a picture of a fountain, and it's actually a very flat image, but I gave the optical illusion of having water coming out of it by using another particle. I'm using the fountain feature. I think it works really well. If you didn't know it was a picture, it looks like it's part of the game. I also used a stone fountain as the bottom. It's cool. And like I said, I kind of just filled this in to just have it in case I needed to expand my graveyard. Put a bunch of seats, but these seats drive me nuts because they make me feel crooked. They make me a little seasick, but they're cool looking. So I just threw them in, added a little fountain just to make it not feel so empty, and a couch just in case maybe I wanted to pretend I could sit here and read a book. Because wouldn't that be nice? I put so many little reading corners in here, like I really could read. I just like to pretend. It gives me joy to imagine that this is someplace I really could visit and read. This enters the first interior part of my library that I'm going to be showing you. I have a little garden outside. You can see I have a little statue. It's just a PNG. You have the option, if you want to have it where the statue follows you, and I did that with other ones inside my condo, but this is an example of what it looks like if you don't have that feature, just have it where it just is flat. I didn't care because I'm never coming out here. I'm only looking at it from the window, so I just have a flat statue. This is my did not finish undecided room. This is the room where I throw books that honestly, I checked out way too many library books and I got too overwhelmed, so I didn't want to forget the book that I checked out, but I didn't want to read it yet, so usually I'll throw them in this room. I only got like 2% in or 3% in, so I don't really have a chance to make an opinion about that book yet. I just know that I'm not in the mood for it right now. I want to try it another time, or maybe I don't want to try it another time. Who knows? Some of these books I got a little further in than I wanted, or than the others. For example, In the Darken, I think I got about 40% in, and then I realized I don't really like reading about kids in hard war situations, but the book was good, and I'm already almost halfway through, so maybe I want to try it again. I don't know yet, so I just have it right here. This is my first example on how to display books. I built these books myself using only canvas cubes. I also built the bookshelves myself. This is all custom made. The game has the option to use pre-made books, which I did in other rooms, but I think this is a really cool option for someone out there that is wanting to have complete creative freedom on how their books look. What I did was I took a canvas cube and I made it as wide as I thought I wanted my books to be. I painted it with a pretty picture of a vintage book I found on Pinterest. Most of these pictures are from Pinterest. And then I took another canvas cube. I took the texture of, it's actually wood. It's called Paradise Wood wall, but it looks like pages. So I took that and then I morphed it into, is morphed the right word? Okay, yeah. I morphed it into the block to make it look like pages. And then I took my other cover and pushed it into the block. The reason I have this extra cover is because you can see here on one of these real life books that I'm using. The cover twists to an angle on the canvas cube, so it looks perfect on the spine, but it doesn't work for the cover, so you have to have that extra cover right here. If you're worried about having too many items, if you want to build your books this way, there isn't a way to make it so that you take away one item per book. You technically could create this block right here in the middle as your pages instead of doing what I did here. You can see I have these two blocks on either side as the pages. Technically, I could make this the pages and then just color this here as the book cover for the spine. Okay, yeah, so if I wanted to, technically I could take this, put the cover, have this block be the page. You see how it still looks like pages? And then push this cover back. Okay, calm down. F1 is your undo button. It's going to be your best friend. It cannot do everything, but it does mostly everything. And then just push your cover. Okay? But as you can see, it's not as pretty. In my opinion, it's going to be a little bit less realistic if you do it this way. You only get one less item per book, but that will add up if you're wanting to do your whole library this way. If you look at it when you do it this way, it doesn't look like it has a back page. It just looks like it's pages and then a cover and a spine. Whereas if you do it the way I did it, as this book doesn't look like it, if you push the page in and line it up correctly, there we go. It looks like it has a back page. So that's why I like it that way, but nobody's really gonna notice. It's a personal thing. It's if you notice it, do it the way I did it. If you don't care, this is another cool way to do it. I really like this way because the pages look so realistic, whereas the pre-built books, let me just give you a glimpse of my other room so I can show you them compared. This is a pre-built book named Book. You can see how blurry the pages are. It doesn't help that I did scale up this book. It's originally only... Sorry to hear my kid. She's having a great time, and I'm not going to tell her to be quiet because, you know, that just makes me happy that she's having a good time playing games because that's what I'm doing too. This is how big the book normally is. I scaled it to be about twice the size that it normally is because I wanted to be able to display my book covers and be able to see them on the top shelf. So because I scaled the object, my book pages did get a bit distorted. When the book is its original size, of course I put it in a spot where my door is in the way. The book pages aren't as noticeable because it's kind of a thinner book, so it's not a big deal. But I think that's the only bummer. Honestly though, it's not really that dramatic because I have so many books, like not a big deal. But I will admit, I think this looks so much better. But it's also a lot of work because you have to push every single cover manually and kind of make it form yourself. So as I built this, I originally was planning on keeping all my books blank and then just adding only the books that I didn't finish, was undecided about. But then I realized I don't really want to ever fill up this room, right? I don't want to have this many books that I didn't finish that I don't really know what I want to do with. I wanted the space to feel finished even though it wasn't. So I went all over Pinterest. I looked up pretty pictures that kind of had like a scrapbooky theme to them, and I just threw them on here, and now I don't feel any stress about needing to add books to this room. I think it really helps with my motivation to read. Now I don't feel like the books that I didn't finish are as noticeable. They're not a big deal. I don't have to get to them right away. They kind of blend in. I mean, they do stand out a bit, but this room just feels pretty. I like it. It's a happy space. I didn't want it to be too tiny. I wanted it to be really big. I made my flowers into chairs, by the way. You have the option to sit on these wherever you want, so you can make hidden seats. And my little penguin's sitting here now, and I could have all my little pretend friends. We could chat in my beautiful undecided room. Maybe I could talk to people about why I didn't like that book. Or, hey, maybe one day I'll get brave and I'll make a book talk video, and I'll sit in each room and then I can talk about the book and sit in my little chairs. You might have noticed these roses, by the way. I created these using a PNG image, and I put it on a canvas cube and just put it on transparent mode. It works great, but just keep in mind that you're always going to have, I don't know if you can see it, this line right here, you're always going to have the most tiny, even if you make it really thin, line on the edge of your canvas cube. So I only ever use this when I am next to something with a lot of straight lines, like this door, so that you'll never notice it unless you have it pointed out to you, I think. Same for right here. You don't really notice the edge of the cube right there unless you really sat there and looked at it, because there's so many straight edges. It kind of lines up with everything. Yay! I don't know. I just really like this room. It's really happy. It's bright. This is what it looks like at night. You can see everything's kind of glowing, and the light really reflects pretty off of the walls. I just like it a lot. Even the flowers kind of glow. This is where you spawn into my library. You can have a custom spawn point, but I like to just build around the one that's already there. So I built this room around it. If anyone came into my condo, they would spawn in right here, and this would be the first thing that they see. So in this room here, I have a little meeting area. If you're waiting for somebody, you could sit here and watch YouTube videos or booktube videos and chat with people while you wait for your friends to arrive. There's also a clock that actually works in real time for wherever you're playing your game from. So in about 10 minutes, it's gonna chime because it's about to be 10 o'clock my time. Yeah, we're staying up late tonight. I have a fireplace that I built out of canvas cubes. They also have built-in game fireplaces, but I like to build my own. I did a variety though. I have pre-built ones and custom ones. It just depended on what I was in the mood for. I tried to fill it in with a bunch of clutter also. Oh, this is an example of a statue that has that follow you feature. You can kind of tell that it's following you. So I recommend only using statues with closed eyes because it can get a little bit creepy. I added some penguins just to match my little model, keeping with the theme, and some cute stuffies because why not? It's a fun fantasy library. I didn't take it too seriously. I just wanted to throw anything and everything I had because I have a lot of in-game items that I bought as I was building this. One of my favorite ways to light up my condo is using Midway lights. I'm trying to show you, but there we go. Midway lights. They're colorable and you can make them very bright and have a really long reach, but they just add a twinkly reflective effect because I used something called a texture called worn steel. So it has a little bit of a reflection on it and has a texture too. I think it looks really pretty with the twinkly lights. This is another PNG. It's a stained glass flower. I just thought it really added to the effect. I added some drawings from Unsplash as my ceiling to try to make it look like I was painting a mural on my ceiling, but it's unfinished. I don't own any of this art, by the way. It's just from either Pinterest, Unsplash, or Pixabay, and unfortunately I'm not going to be able to link every single artist. It's just how you decorate in this game, so I didn't take the time to look up every single person because that's just how you play this game. So keep that in mind. I'm not trying to steal anybody's art. Over here is where I put the book that I'm currently reading. I surrounded it with PNG butterflies and some in-game bushes. And this is actually a Christmas tree light that I smushed to be flat to kind of add some light effect around the book. This is a custom canvas that I found on Pinterest. I also added some plants in another seating area. This is a little present with a light pushed into it. I just thought it looked cute. Yeah, this is just where I put whatever book I'm reading at the moment, and if I end up not liking it, I throw it in whatever room I'm throwing it in. If I do end up liking it, I can write the information in this book. It's called a readable book, and this is right now I only have the title, but normally I would write the year I'm reading it, the summary of the book, the title, and then I could just copy the information that I had in the book and then bring it up to the finished books that I have up here. This is all the finished books. We'll get more into that later. But then I already have it in my game, so I don't have to go to, I use Goodreads for all of this. I don't have to go to Goodreads every time I finish a book. I already have it in my library. All right, next, or actually before we go to the next room, this is my book display ideas corner, where I wanted to show anyone out there that was curious what it looked like if you just had it be a little more realistic, where only the spine of a book was sticking out of the bookshelf. So I took a canvas cube and I did the same thing I did in the DNF Undecided room. I just made a canvas cube with a random thickness, and I put a different canvas cube on the edge of the spine, and then used random pretty old art from Pinterest or modern books as an example. And it works pretty well, but like as you can see here on Legends and Lattes, the image can get kind of smushed if you go too small. But if it's like an image like the host, I guess, is a good example. If you go too big, it also looks a little bit odd. I do really like how it looks though with the books being different sizes. I think it looks really realistic and adds the effect of kind of if someone's wanting to have a more compact space to display their books. Maybe you're wanting to have a library but also use your condo as something else. This would work perfectly. I'm using a pre-built tiki shelf, and this is the smaller version, but if you wanted to, you could do like the tiki shelf and then just fill it all in and have a little wall in your library to display all the books that you're reading. It can hold a good amount of books, and it's great for someone out there who is only a casual reader and still wants to have a little space to keep track of their books. Another way you can display your books is, this is called a book collection item. They have several different versions of it. I used book collection 1, and I did the same thing as I do with my canvas cubes. I took a canvas cube and kind of built around the shell of the books and decorated them. So you could display the books you're reading in a more unique fashion. Instead of just having them all be straight like this, you kind of build around this pre-built book form and have it look a little more, I don't know, unique. I just thought it was a cool idea for someone out there that isn't wanting to just have the book covers on display like I do. I just built my library so big, and I also just really like looking at the covers and the pictures of them, so I decided to just face them out like this. But I do agree this could be a cool idea for somebody out there to do. I see the possibilities, but I still like facing my books out. This is a portal to the tallest, most faraway room in my library. We're not going to use it right now because it would be a lot of work to come all the way back down. But I made this because I thought it would be fun to pretend that if I was hosting a book club, I could have it in different rooms of my library, and if you entered my condo, you would just step into the portal and know right away like you're with the group. It's a live feed, so you can see everybody walking around when they're in the game. You can see the TV as it's playing. You just hop right in and you're instantly with people. Instead of somebody wandering around trying to figure out how to get to the highest building in my condo, they can just walk right into the painting and boom, they're there. So that's a cool option to put in your library. This is the DNF Want to Try Again room. Books I didn't finish because I probably checked out too many books, or it just got too sad or stressful for me and I had to put it down. But I definitely want to pick them up again when I'm in a better mood or in a better headspace. I decorated this room with more vintage artwork because, again, I don't want to fill up this room. I hope that I never have this many books that I don't finish and want to try again. That's not the goal here. I just wanted to have a really grand, big room, because I know some of you might have been looking at this like, why are your bookshelves so tiny? Why didn't you build them really tall and magical? I thought, well, I'll do it in one room for somebody out there so they can see what it looks like, and I can kind of explain why I did it the way I did. So the biggest reason why I kept my bookshelves, yay, it's 10 o'clock. The biggest reason why I kept my bookshelves pretty short is because I want to be able to see the book covers. I can zoom in, but it's definitely going to be a lot harder for me to see a book cover from way up here. You see, they're pretty tiny. They're still viewable, but they're tiny. So I like the idea of being able to see them from where I'm standing, but also I have like my finished books area. I used only readable books, and I can't reach the books with my player model if they're any higher than this. So originally I was planning on building my entire library with only readable books, but readable books are actually very expensive compared to normal books. So I end up using normal books in all my temporary rooms because I'm not keeping my books in here. It's just a temporary spot for me to keep track of books that I may or may not finish. So why do I need to have a really expensive book there? It's not a permanent space. So that's why I have so many different books throughout my library. So I pre-built my bookshelves here all by myself using canvas cubes. Every single thing is like a canvas wall, or my shelves, by the way. And then I have canvas wall as my background. But for this shelf, I used the Tiki shelf that I had showed you with the books that were normal, realistic shelved books. And I found out that this is the only shelf that, in my opinion, could technically work for a library. Every other pre-built shelf in the game has either uneven shelves, does not stretch nicely. A lot of the bookshelves that are pre-built in this game have an edge that kind of clips out and clips into walls, so you have to have really thick edges to kind of hide it. And again, their shelves aren't even, so you can't have the same size book on every shelf. Tiki shelf, however, has almost completely even shelves. It's beautiful, it's colorable, but it has a big con. So I scaled up these shelves and I found out they have an invisible wall. So now I can't walk right here. This invisible wall gets in my way. Thankfully, this room was really big, so it's not going to be something that is going to be a game changer for me, but I do often run into it and then I just get a little mad. I'm like, oh, darn, that darn invisible wall. Grr. If you have your shelves a lot smaller, I have them in another area of my library, I'll point it out. If you have them smaller and not scaled up too big, that invisible wall is pretty tiny. So they're still really workable if you're nervous about trying to build every shelf yourself, or you're going to be annoyed with having possible issues of things not being completely even. I did build this using a snap tool though, so everything is on some sort of grid. As I was building it, I would copy this and you can see this little grid and I'd match it up, and it only clips to that part of the grid. But still, things are not going to be completely even. Using an in-game shelf helps with that, the Tiki one. And also it keeps your item count down because you don't have to have a single item for every shelf. It's all one item, so it really could help with your item count. I added some more seating areas. This has a magazine that you get from fishing, but if you scale it up, you'll notice that it's kind of funny. It's full of cigarette. Oh wait, is this one not full of cigarette butts? Not this one. The other one. If you scale something in accident, hit reset and it resets. Let me get out of the zoom mode. It's this one. It's funny. It's full of cigarette butts. You see them all in there? I think it's silly. I was trying to scale you back down, bud. Go back down. Okay. So I made a little coffee area. You can't interact with the coffee, but eventually they're going to add cooking and cool things like that. So maybe one day I can replace these and add cookable cookies or something. And then I added seating to look outside this beautiful window at this view. I have a little waterfall over there if you can tell. And then this is my computer area. You can actually watch YouTube videos on these computers, which is really fun. And then I added some art in this corner and I put some glass over the art to give it a more 3D effect. This is something called a canvas, and it has a different versions. They have canvas with a frame, canvas that's just glass, canvas that's canvas. I actually used it over here on these books as an example of if you wanted to, you could have a canvas as your cover instead of a canvas cube, and then you could write the name of the book. I did it twice. The name of your book, and then have it so when you hover over the book it shows up in your game. I don't like it though. I only did it in here because I realized it kind of takes away from the library, because even if I lightly glance at it, the name will show up in my text. But for anyone out there that might want a different way to have the information of their book without having a readable book, this is an idea. Canvas. You can't put the summary because it's got a very limited character count, but I don't know why you would want to. Okay, added a seating area. I like to make lights really weird. I use random items that aren't supposed to be lights and turn them into lights because it just makes me feel like I'm being creative and excited. All right, now we're gonna move on to the ghost room. Ghost room is where I put books I didn't finish. I don't want to finish, but they're not dead to me. They're just like, they weren't for me. Maybe they were too sad, or I only have one book, so I'll use this one as an example. Hawk Song is a book I saw when I was in middle school, and I thought it looked cool because he kind of looks like Edward Scissorhands. He's kind of like that creepy gothy guy that I wanted to date when I was in middle school, and I never got around to reading the book. So when I saw it in my library, I was like, oh my gosh, younger me wanted to read this book, so I grabbed it. And as I started reading it, I found out it's about children that are half animals in war. And one of my biggest hardships of reading is reading something where an animal is hurt and children are hurt. And unfortunately with YA books, often young kids are in really hard situations, but this book was especially hard because they were half animal and they were in war with each other, and I was just like, I can't handle this book, it's making me too sad. So it was a me thing, because I think if I would have read this book when I was younger, I would have really liked it. So I gave it to the ghosts to read. This is where all the ghosts can read all the books that I didn't like, but maybe they'll like it. So I have a lot of pictures of ghosts reading books, and I just went with a cute spooky theme. I scaled up a giant magic 8-ball to ask the ghost what they thought of the book that I put in. So let's see what they think of the book that I threw in the shelf. They said it looks good, so it seems like they're gonna like it. I added a tower of glass. It's on every single level of my library. It doesn't really match down here, but I still really like it because I want the ghosts to have some light. I want them to be able to look at the view, see the pretty trees. I made a giant bat because why not? But they make different noises when you scale them up, so just keep that in mind. He really does that for a long time. If he's normal scale, he sounds so different. Oh, I only have one bat plushie. I can't show you. I don't want to scale him down because I like him big. Just know he sounds different. This is an example of the glass I used. As you can see, they're actually glass doors, but I just pretend they're windows because they have this really cool effect where you can make them have stained glass. You can also open them up to make them feel like windows. And the game doesn't really have windows like this, so you have to use the doors. I think it looks fine. I made my books so that they are in-game textures that kind of glow and move, just so that the library doesn't feel so dark. I originally had my books like this, and I just feel like it's so boring, and I wanted to just feel fun in here. I'm happy with it. It's a little busy, but I think it's a fun effect considering everywhere else in my library is so green and basic looking. I just wanted to decorate this place. I left it really big because this is a permanent space. Once I put a book in here, it's in here forever because it's a book I'm never going to try again, and I don't have any hard feelings, but it's in here forever. It's not like my DNF want to try again, DNF undecided. That's a temporary space. This is a permanent space. So over the years, hopefully I will fill it up, or hopefully I won't, because maybe I won't have that many books that I did not finish and don't like. This is a seating area where I filled it up with a bunch of spooky in-game items. I got floating candles, lightning things, and a little alien reading a book because he can come here and read books with his ghost buddies. He even brought his special cow friend because why not? Cows like to read. Moo. Was that pun really bad? Probably. I got a drunk ghost who's reading something and fell asleep. A little skeleton reading, and then, oh, that's it. I have more over there. This is a working TV. You can watch YouTube on it, and a custom canvas table. I like it. It's fun. I had a good time. This is another seating area. And again, I have a nightmare crab reading a book. I like this one because it actually looks like his hands are actually moving on the book. They kind of clip through the book, but you get the idea. Some skulls, a floating brain, a little ghost lamp, a view to the outside waterfall, spiders, another reading Alien Buddy, and some umbrellas because I don't know. Maybe the alien needs an umbrella. He can't be near water or something. I don't know. Whatever your conspiracy theory is, go with it. more ghost art. This room is my want to read room. It's connected to that main area. I just have that door into my ghost rooms as a shortcut. This is where I put books that are either of a series that I need to finish or from an author that I finished one of their books, so I'm going to give more of their books a try. I don't have too many in here, so I filled it up with a lot of vintage art again because I made the space way too big. But this works really well for keeping track of series that I'm in the middle of, other books by an author. If I'm in a reading slump, I can grab one of these and hopefully get back into reading again and trying new books. I just started reading again in December. I haven't been reading for years and years. I was just really excited to explore what kind of books I enjoy in this stage of my life and seeing what ones I finish, what ones I don't finish. I found out that I really enjoy young adult books when I'm in a sad mood because they're very easy to read. I just get to watch the movie in my head that they make me see, so I don't get too serious, and then I can jump right back into a more adult book. But if I'm not finishing a lot of books and I'm just DNFing book after book after book because maybe I'm just overstimulated and tired and I just can't concentrate, I'll grab one of these really easy young adult books and be like, oh, I never got to read this when I was little. I'll give it a try. And it really helps me get back into reading again. So that's something interesting. I don't know if it'll always be that way, but I have a few books that I plan on grabbing when I end up getting in a reading slump. Also, I have books on here that my library doesn't have that I want to try one day. Like, for example, I've really enjoyed the Forgotten Kingdom series, but my library doesn't have these little, I think they're called novellas that this series has. So one day I'm going to have to either spend money or maybe find them on another subscription website or something. I don't know. But I threw them on there because I want to read them one day. So let me show you more of my want to read section. This is my happy good fortune kitty. He's giving you good fortune, hoping that the books that I read are good ones and that I enjoy them. More artwork. I keep all my artwork on the walls so that if I accidentally somehow fill in all these shelves, I still have a version of that artwork to pull from so that I don't have to find it everywhere in the condo. I can just go to Canvas and then I can scroll through every single canvas I have in my library right now and just recolor that book with whatever random picture. Again, I made it really big just because I love the fantasy of thinking that one day I'm going to be such a big reader that I need this much room, that I want to read this many books. Isn't it fun to think that maybe one day I could? I put a lot of big, pretty oil painting art. We are going to the finished books section. Everything else above us is for finished books. So you saw how tall my library is. We got a good amount of stuff to get into. Another seating area, so much more art from Pinterest. I made curved cylinder ceilings that I love. I used this art that has almost like a 3D texture to it, and I just think it makes it feel so cool in here. It's my happy place, that's for sure. I'm going to take you into this room first because this is the room I'm currently working on. I built this library the way I did because I didn't want to walk into a big space and think, oh my gosh, I have so many books to read, or oh my gosh, I haven't read that many books, I'm so sad. I wanted to feel like, wow, this would be so fun to fill in these shelves with books one day. So unlike all my other rooms, I left every book blank. Some spots you can see I don't even have a cover on the books because what I want is to work on this area section by section. So right now my goal is to, by the end of the year, fill up this room with books I have finished. And so I left everything blank. As I finish a book, I get to walk up to the blank space and add my book cover and feel really accomplished. I also made it so that if I have a series, they can all be together. So for example, Legends and Lattes has another book that I plan on reading, and I can throw it right there next to its buddy and they can be together. But let's say I have a series and I did not like the second book. For example, I loved The Ravens, but the second book really annoyed me, and the second book ended up in my graveyard. So instead of having this blank space next to The Ravens, I just threw a standalone novel next to it, and it looks like it was meant to be that way all along. So it's not that big of a deal. So my goal is to at least fill in this shelf, and if I stop building this library for once and actually start reading again, I'll be able to fill up this shelf. This is the Forgotten Kingdom series that I told you I read. I put it over here because, like I said, there's those novellas I want to read, and they might continue the series one day. I don't know. The series has been going on for years and years. It seems that people have lost interest in the series, but I don't know. They might keep going, and I don't want to have a bunch of other books in my way where I can't actually keep the series together. So I decided to just throw it over here. And I could still leave some blank spaces near this and then not feel like I'm gonna have to move them around one day. So this is how I use the readable books with finished books. I get to color the book to match the cover, which is my favorite part. And then I write inside the book, I put the year I read it, the name of the book, my rating, and the summary. And then if I wanted to, I could write a little book journal about what I thought of the book. But honestly, I'm really bad at spelling, so I didn't want to have it in case somebody read it. I'm nervous about that, so I'm not doing it. But if you wanted to, you could have this be a book journal, like a virtual book journal, which is so cool. And how I rate my books is just 5 or 4 stars. 5 stars if I finished the book completely, 4 stars if I skimmed it, but I still finished it. Truthfully, there are books on here that should be only like 3 stars, 2 stars, because I skimmed them a little more than others, especially like this vampire romance book. I have not read spicy books for a long time, and I was like, okay, pick up a spicy book, see if you like them. And this one just wasn't my thing. I'm figuring out what kind of spicy book I enjoy, I guess you could say, but I really wanted to know the ending. So I skimmed through it and finished it. And even though I can't tell you that I read every single paragraph and know every single character in this book, I'm still throwing it on the shelf because you know what? I finished it. And I'm proud of that. Even though I don't like the book, it's finished. I'm throwing it on my shelf. Yeah, don't judge me by the books I got on here, right? I painted this curved ceiling with some lily pads and I added some water. This is an in-game texture, and I used a canvas cube and just put the in-game clean water on it, and so it feels kind of like you're underwater. So I used this in-game glass with water as well. Nice effect. I'm enjoying how it turned out. More artwork to keep track of, another seating area, and now we're going to move on to completely blank spaces. This is all future me to fill up when I read. I love the way this looks. I used some old paintings and some old cracked wallpaper texture. This could be a good spot for my favorites of all time. We'll see. This balcony overlooks my lily pad area, another seating area, a fountain, some pretty plants to just fill up the space, and a custom canvas flag. This is a staircase to the next level, but I'm actually going to take you to another area. All the staircases lead to generally the same spot. I just wanted to have multiple entrances. So I have a piano, and I know in real life you wouldn't have a piano, but this is a imaginary library and it's a personal space, so why not? You can actually play on it. And somebody in the community made sheet music that you can use. You have to use in-game sheet music because the keys aren't like a real-life virtual keyboard. But this is fun. I like to play Coldplay's Clocks on here. I already forgot the keys, so I'm not going to do it. But I have several pianos throughout here when I just want to play piano and do my own thing. This is where you can go down to my want to read. That's where we were earlier. So I have some more desks. And Penguin, come on, you're a little short right now. What are you doing? Do I have a potion on? You're short. Normally you can see over the desk. I don't know. Let me put a super big potion on. Maybe that's why. Super big? There we go. You can write something in here and have somebody read it, but I just used it as decoration. And that's a pretty view of my waterfall again. Another seating area and a place to watch more YouTube videos. You can also watch YouTube videos on all these. More finished books will come in here, even though it's kind of off to the side. Oh, and then let me show the view from my window. Look how pretty it is. It looks so pretty at night too. Normally, like I said, I have my light cycle on. My night cycle, light cycle, whatever I'm trying to say. It's getting late. I might record this video in 2 parts where I re-record it tomorrow and just like fit in spots where I messed up. So if I sound different randomly, it's because I recorded this twice because I'm getting a bit sleepy. This is a pool table. Yeah, you can actually play pool on it and actually have a good time. But I'm not going to do that, even though I just clicked it. Oh my god, we're stuck here. We're being held hostage for 9 seconds. As we're being held hostage, the ceiling, I added some beautiful oil paintings with water effect again. More shelves. And this is the pool table where you can just like literally play pool. If you're hosting though, just know like they kind of get glitchy. If you're wanting to play with friends, I would recommend actually going into the plaza and playing that way instead of doing it in your condo, because they kind of lag a bit in a condo because it's on your end instead of using their servers. This art just gives me my condo vibes of just like a chubby frog sitting on a lily pad with starlight and pretty birds and nature around him, and it's just healing happens in, and then I cut it off, but I'm just gonna say healing happens in the library. This frog is adorable. I love it. I added some potted plants on the shelf just to try to make it more cluttered. With another lily themed artwork. Lots of lily themed artwork. I just love how lily themed artwork looks, I guess. Another pretty painting. I added some of that water effect to it. This is a TV. You get this one from a cat sack. I just threw it in here just because it's so fun. I like that. Okay, I had to stop recording this because my husband walked down as I was recording and it scared me so bad. I'll show you a clip of it. I got so nervous that I turned off my recording and just went to bed. Yeah, so it's the next night. I'm gonna keep giving you this tour. Hopefully I sound the same. Okay, we're moving up to this next level here. I have more seating, some plants, just to kind of break things up. I made a fountain. Here's another example of the tiki shelves, smaller. So let me zoom out, and then you can see the invisible wall isn't as big, but it's still noticeable. So just keep that in mind. But especially for right here, I don't think it would be a big issue. Do you notice my leg pokes out when I walk? Sorry if that bugs you. It's just how the model came. I still love this model. It's okay. It's okay if your little bone pokes out of your thigh when you walk. Some more cylinders. Oh, let me go show you over here. I kind of walked right by this. We're not going to go up this staircase yet because it leads to the same place. Another area. This is the end of the tower. So I guess it's not on every level because we have 2 more levels, but it went up pretty high. I just enjoy how it looks. It's so glowy and dreamy. I have another statue. I painted it a bit more green to match, and then I have it so that it follows me as it moves. It's not directly into the ground because I didn't want it clipping in while it turned. So that's why. And then we're going to go down instead of up so that we can see this area over here. So I have more artwork. More artwork. Another shelving area for finished books. Another artwork. This is with lighthouse glass. More shelves. And around here, I believe, is when I started getting tired of playing to earn money to buy readable books. So I ended up just throwing canvas cubes on the shelves for now because I think I have plenty of time to earn the money to replace them. By the time I get to this point, okay, condo. By the time I get to this point, I will have a lot more units and I'll be able to replace the books. But maybe also by the time I get all this done, they'll have a different kind of readable book. My dream is that one day they'll do a readable book with a built-in canvas with its own paint palette so it doesn't get interfered by the actual book color. And then I can save on my item count that way. This is an example of something you can do using a spreadsheet. So what this is it just a normal picture of lightning. You can see right here is what it looks like originally. And then I went and clicked this, and that's all it is. And then you just change the amount of rows and the rate, and it will go slower. And that's kind of a fun way to make some animated walls. It works with really well with, like you can see here, with lightning and stuff like that. I timed them differently just so they would kind of appear more random. I also have some rain sounds and thunder loops in here. And then make sure if you do this that you have soften behind walls on so that it doesn't play throughout your library. I didn't do this any place other than here, but I really did like the idea of having a rainy, thunder-filled library. YouTube has a bunch of playlists with just a library with thunder and rain in the background. So I thought, why not just make one room where it has that? I feel like if I did it for the entire condo, it would kind of get annoying. Especially if I was trying to record a video, you know? But right now, it's really nice. It's soothing. I'm just going to be quiet for a minute so you can enjoy. Yeah, I love it. For the background of this shelf, I don't know if you can tell. It's kind of hard because it's darker. Let me see if I can turn on day a little better. It's hard to tell, but I have lava as the background, and I tinted it a bit green. There, that's a better side. But you can kind of see movements, so it feels like it's kind of dark clouds passing by. I did that throughout the rest of the shelves. So we're going to go up here. You can still kind of hear the lightning and thunder, but not too much. More canvas cubes. Some artwork. I started putting artwork on the stairs. Just kind of breaking things up. Here's the sun rising. I like that. It's pretty. More shelves. This was where we were. So there's another way to get over here. Like I mentioned before, the staircases all kind of lead to the same area. And I used a lot of sparkly textures over here just because it felt like green starlight. And so I put this painting because I thought it matched the whole starlight moon theme. And I think it would look really cool if I did something where, let me show you here. It's a good spot to show you this. So if you go to Condo.io, and you can use something called a skyblock, or you can use something called a post-process block. And the skyblock changes the entire condo's colors, right? So if I wanted to have something more pink, if I got tired of all this green, I could choose more pink. So I'm going to show you. I think I already showed you in the beginning. It's the next day. If I didn't talk about this, this is what it looks like on the inside. This is what the skybox looks like on the inside. I think it changes a lot. So it's something I'm definitely going to be doing often when I just get in the mood to see something different. This is my usual go-to color scheme. I like this color. So here's the condo. You can see the outside's changed. This is what the inside of the condo looks like. It looks great, but all of the books are going to be changed. So before we keep continuing through here, I'm going to show you some of the areas we've been through already and how they look with the sky block. It adds an interesting effect. Sorry, I'm having a hard time talking. Okay, the fog is starting to pick up a bit. I wanted to go down here most to see how much it affected the books. So it affects the white the most out of any of the textures, especially in-game white. So you can see my pages turned hot pink, which is fine. but it changes the color scheme of this room a lot. How does this room look? Still very green. This room isn't very affected because it's a lot of darker greens. Turned pink, the shelf did right here. The outside's so pretty though. Let's look at the graveyard very quickly. Oh, I like the graveyard like this. Let's make it night on our way back up. Ooh, the lily pad looks so cool. Oh, froggies, you guys are partying. It looks like a nightclub out here. I like it. It's gonna be fun messing around with the color tints. We're gonna make our way back up through the nighttime. And then we will turn off the sky, turn on the post-processing, and just see what the inside of the condo would look like with that. And then we'll continue the tour. We're almost done. We've almost reached the end. I hope that you have learned something and that you've watched all the way through. If you have, please give me a subscribe. I'll be excited. It was right here. They're invisible. I always forget. Okay. Did I have my contrast up before? Okay. So, definitely not crazy about how it looks black and white with higher contrast because it's really hard to see. Even white is really difficult. Reset, reset. Bloom. Bloom was one I was considering. Lens flare. Oh, I got little lens flares. Ooh, with the sparkles. What? I love that. I wonder if it's killing my computer though. Turning up the lens flares to max. No way, that is such a cool idea. I never knew that it did that. I like it. That is so cool. Is the balloon playing a big part in this? Oh yeah, it's the balloon with the lens flare together. Are the perfect pair. So sparkly. I'm going crazy. Oh, it's everywhere. Is it just because I have all these twinkle lights? Okay, it kind of gets annoying as you start walking through. Alright. Maybe if I turn it down just a little bit. Because it's starting to make me seasick. I don't know if it's doing the same for you guys. But let's turn them maybe halfway. And then add some of this up as well. Maybe some green. Some pixels would be kind of fun to make it feel old. That's not bad. I don't like the lens flare. Oh, it's making me seasick. Okay. Maybe just a tiny lens flare. Still. Okay, we're taking the lens flare away. As much as I love it, it's making me seasick for some reason. But the bloom is interesting. The pixelizing is kind of making it feel like the condo is having a hard time loading. It doesn't feel intentional. But we'll turn that off for now. And back to the original. So let's show you the rest of the library. We're going to turn it daytime so you can see a little better. More books. More books. More books. Pretty art. More books. Oh, I ran out of room, or out of books right here. Pretend it's filled. Seating. More books. Another shelf. Look how cool that looks. I really like that optical illusion. It's somebody's jewelry, and I scaled it up really big. So it feels like it's a curved glass, but it's actually flat. More art with the rain on it. This is the staircase that I was mentioning earlier that we weren't going to go up yet. So now we're going up it now. And it leads to, that's where we just were. We got a built-in fireplace. This is pre-made. And then I added some gems. Oh wait, there was one more level. This is the final level of the glass tower. More artwork for me to keep track of. But doesn't this bat look like a frog bat? I think it does. I don't know. More tiki shelves. Oh wait. This one doesn't even have a box in the way. Hey, it's a very tiny box. Okay, so the box must expand by how wide you make the shelf, not how thick, is my theory now, because this one has a big one. Yeah, this has a big invisible field, but this one has barely any. You can see me just barely hitting it when I stand super close. Okay, so if you use the tiki shelf, try to keep it about this size, and then just use more than one, I guess, if you want a lot of wide shelves. And you can get around the invisible box. That's cool. We discovered something together. This is a balcony to overlook the waterfall. You can sit in the hot tub. Did I ever show you my balcony downstairs? I can't remember. This is the only con to recording the next day. Okay. This is my balcony. Oh, wait, I'm pretty sure I told you. Oh yeah, and then I have waterfall looping. Okay. I don't know. If I didn't, that was my outdoor area. This is chaos. Being a YouTuber is hard. I get it now. Another area for shelves. Make our way to that staircase. We're almost done. We're almost to the top. Now it gets really empty because I was just like, I'm never going to read this many books. I'm just going to throw some tiki shelves in here, pretend like I'll need this space one day, and then walk away. So that's why none of the paint matches. I was just like, okay, it's been a lot of work. I'm getting tired. Another seating area. More artwork. And the final level. We've made it. Okay, we got some artwork. Here, I've made this. If you remember at the very beginning of the video, when I was telling you if I want to add another level, I just pull the cylinder up. This is that cylinder. So I've made it so that it's a cool ceiling feature right now. But if I needed to somehow have another layer or level of this castle, if I didn't build out from another room and make it wider, this is where I'm going to be going. They have a spiral staircase, so maybe I'll do that. And then I can have a spiral staircase and then a hall or something leading to another area. Or this TV is fun because you can see through the back. So I've made glass behind it. I tried to make this a meeting area for a book club again, even though no one will ever be here. Made a giant fountain just to make this place feel a little unique and filled up because it's never gonna have books in it. If I keep up what I'm doing now, I jump from hobby to hobby so fast. The chances of me, this texture is not matching. How rude. The chances of me enjoying reading for this long to the point where I get to this level, very slim. But the anxiety of me actually being able to do that and not having it here is stronger. So I'm really glad I built this area because now I can sleep at night knowing that if by some miracle I become a great reader, I have plenty of space. So what did you think of my library? What things do you think maybe I should change? What did you like the most? Have you created your own library in Tower Unite? Did I inspire you to make a library? Please let me know. I will be making more videos hopefully in the future about whatever random thing I'm enjoying in the moment, but possibly some more Tower Unite videos, of course. I do have a lot of hours in this game, so why not make more videos? If you have any questions, throw them down in the comments below. And thank you so much for being here. Hopefully I'll get to see you next time. Goodbye.